All Laravel fans and MoonShine fans, I welcome you to the Cut Code channel. Friends, I'm not going to drag on, and we're going to continue with MoonShine 2 guide. Let's go. Friends, let's move on. We have a few gaps on the main site. We haven't implemented the articles with you. Let's close that gap. And we also have a gap on the admin area. We have not done with you the section with users. Just there we will add something interesting additionally. Let's open the code. And in general, the section with the list of articles will be the same as the main one, but with pagination. Let's play with pagination at the same time. We'll output everything the same, and after grid we'll make articles, links, and view pagination will specify for MoonShine UI pagination. In addition, we need to pass the async variable. And in this case specify false. Okay, let's go back, refresh, go to articles. And we see that we have 3 articles per page, pagination at the bottom, and it works fine. Next thing, let's do it right away as well, so that there's a finalized look, the detail page. For now we'll copy the main page as well. I think you have already realized that you can move around the view like this, or you can create your own pages, or view pages and work on the basis of them. Here we no longer have articles, but one article, and in this case I propose the following. Let's display the content for now. Let's see that something is displayed, but we can also display an image on top. I think we have such an image. I mean, it's a valid size. Okay, it's not very pretty, but let's keep it that way for now. Look what I want to do next. I want to make it pretty, and I want to bring up the comments and likes. But I will do it a little bit in another section, in the section about Livewire, because here will be components from Livewire, but based on our project under MoonShine. If you're interested, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the bell. These tutorials will be coming out soon, and I think they will be interesting. And we are moving to the admin area. And let's create a user section as well. We already know how to do that, nothing new for us here. Okay, a MoonShine resource, let's through the form, user, default, okay. Next, let's open MoonShine Service Provider, and let's also add a menu with you, which will be only in the admin area. So we're going to remove the negation, users. Here we have a new one. User resource. And we can add with you the hero icons, outline users icon. Okay, we go back, we refresh, we see users. We've already created some users, but the resource is empty. Let's fill it up a little bit. What do we need? We've done both login and profile with you more than once, so we know its name, email, and passwords, respectively. We can do a little bit more coloring with you. Let's add rules, by the way. Which we have, password requires confirmation. Okay. Let's also add an eye so that we can see what we're entering there, if necessary. We had a toggle mode. And let's also add custom attribute as well. That we have autocomplete, new password. Another interesting idea I came up with was to do in the collapse block. Let's update. We see that our passwords are closed and are displayed on the main page. We don't need to do that. Let's make hide on index. And on the detail view as well. Okay. Same here. Then we'll refresh. And we'll go into forms with you this time. And we can see that we have everything simple here. There's name, there's email. And if we need to change the password, we have it in a hidden form. Click, go. And we write here. And here is just an eye that will display the password, if necessary. It's a cool thing, which you can also use. Click Save. If everything is entered correctly, then, accordingly, the form will be saved. Friends, let's also add an interesting button that often takes place. Let's in our case add it only on index buttons. With buttons, we've already worked with buttons. Just with a method that adds everywhere. And with index we haven't yet. Let's bring back the array. Still our favorite action buttons. And let's make a login button. Create an active session with this user. Friends, the task was also invented for a reason. Because now we are going to work with MoonShine controller. Let's create it and see what it is. MoonShine controller. And let's call it UserController. Okay. We've created it. We can see where the generator put it. Let's close everything else. Let's go to it. It's located in the MoonShine controllers. UserController. And it already has some small examples that we can work with. Firstly, we can see that right in the controller using Sugar we can immediately call a pop-up window with a certain notification. Also with MoonShine request we can immediately access the current page and the current resource, if there is one. And additionally, we can conveniently render our own specific content. For example, its view, which will be immediately wrapped in whatever MoonShine requires. And if we need our own layout, we can modify it. But in our case we just need to make a redirect, but already with an active session of the user on which we click. Okay. We have the controller. We also need to declare a root endpoint. Here, too, I want to show you an interesting point, as I usually do within MoonShine. I create a separate file with roots, purely under MoonShine, so that it will be under MoonShine middleware. Let's open up the root service provider. And after the web, let's add another MoonShine middleware. And, accordingly, the file will be either MoonShine or admin. It's whatever you prefer. I created MoonShine roots. Let's create it. And inside we'll declare root. In general, in the admin, let it be get. By the way, I didn't take the facade. Okay, root, once again. And let endpoint be, actions, user, login by. Then our controller. User, controller from MoonShine. And let's set the name. Let's make it login by. Okay. Friends. I have shown you how to declare roots through an additional file. In general, when there is a resource, the same thing could be done directly in the resource through the resolve method. Routes. And the same thing that you and I have done. In this case, we will already have MoonShine prefixes, user resource prefixes, and so on. I've shown you two methods. I usually vary between them. If there is a resource, then directly into resolve resource. If not, then through a file. In general, the file is clearer. Plus the IDE will always give you a hint. Using a resource is a bit different approach. But sometimes it is faster through a resource. Okay. We've got the login button. Next, let's specify the endpoint. We can simply specify root login by. In this case, we need to pass the ID of the current user to this root. Since we have index buttons, we have a table, we have a lot of records there, we can't just pick the ID we need here now. But we can use the closure. Here we already have users. And make, say, user ID get key. Well, the same thing could be done through model binding or whatever you like. Let's try it this way. In addition, you can add an icon, a confirmation. It depends on the task. Let's return to the user controller. We won't need toast. Let's make auth. Only with the guard. Yes, we need web. Then login, using ID, request, get, user ID. Great. Next, let's do session, regenerate. Then we need to go back, not back, but let's do root home. Great. That sounds about right. Let's take a look. Go back, refresh. We see the login button. And let's have Devon Parker. Interesting guy. Let's go in. Look, there's a redirect. And we're already on the site under the Devon Parker session. But at the same time, if you and I go back to the admin, we also have the admin session. We are working through two guard. Agree, interesting. Lastly on this lesson, as a bonus, I want to show you another cool thing. With bulk actions that we can add and pass to the modal window all at once, what we highlight in the main table. Let's take a look at how that works. I'm showing this as a bonus, because it might not be in the documentation yet, for the record. Let's create an actions method. Return. Still action button. Make. In this case, we're just going to play around. It doesn't matter what we're going to have here. Let's have a button. Let's have some kind of root. And we're going to do in modal. Modal title. Then we'll make a form builder. And in the form builder we will return hidden IDs. It is important that we have it in the form, in the modal window. Now, friends, look, let's go back, let's update. Firstly, we get the error that we have to have the content be a string. So let's bring the form to a string. Let's click on the button. This will bring up the form. We have it like this, just with a save button. But let's take a look at what we have in the content of this form. Okay. We see the body. And here we have hidden. And see, it's an empty div for now. But let's go ahead and select something. Let's make it all at once. Now notice when we click on the form call, we have here in hidden IDs an array of all the selected IDs from the form. And you can additionally already build endpoints. And change something massively across all elements. Yes, of course, it can be done otherwise via index buttons, just by specifying bulk. And the same thing will happen under the bonnet. It will be the same in the modal window, where there will be hidden IDs. But if you need to display these buttons at the top, or if you are building the page in your own way at all, using action buttons, know that they work with tabs. And hidden IDs can be a helper to pass something into them. That's the kind of bonus for your cool implementations on MoonShine. This MoonShine tutorial has ended. Remember to subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and leave your comments. Stay tuned for the next lesson. Your feedback is essential for the development of MoonShine. Thank you for watching and choosing MoonShine. See you in the next video on Cut Code.